table, but there's no safe spot to cross this raging river. Like, look at these big ass objects just flying through the... Tell me this, like... It's really sad. We are stranded here. We're stranded here. Nobody else is home. We're the last ones on this fucking street. Oh my God! The inside of their house. This is so bad. I'm scared. That's where the bridge was. I get over here. Now we're stuck. It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh.
This isn't in the news yet, and it's not that they're trying to keep it. I just don't think that there's any way to put this in the news. When I try to talk to some of my friends about it, they're not reacting like I think they should, and it took me a while. I was upset. I was like, why aren't they reacting? And I realized that we do not have a concept for what just happened. We don't. This is like a textbook event, and it took me a few days to really wrap my head around it. When they say in the mountains that entire towns are washed away, they don't mean just the buildings. They mean the people, animals, the trees, everything is gone. That 200 figure, those are the people who are accounted for. There are thousands of people still missing. And they're not whole bodies anymore. Everything is mixed together in the mud and the sand and the silt. I have friends that I'm never going to see again, and the only way that I'm going to know is just to wait and see who never turns up.
In the missing persons group for North Carolina and Tennessee, there's a Google Doc that they're all sharing with each other, a live Google Doc where you can add a missing person's name, and there's a column that says missing, found, or deceased. There are over 2,000 names on this list. I didn't see any duplicates. And there's so many missings. So many fucking missings. This is, I cannot imagine what these people are going through.
On today's rescue and resource mission, the level of devastation is unreal. This river alone has had over 70 people who didn't make it out pulled so far. Please send all the help you can to Burnsville, Buladian, Bakersville, and Spruce Pine, NC. They need you badly. There is a child stuffed bear wearing a life vest. A child wanted their best friend to be safe too. The cleanup crew cleaned everything off this bridge today except the bear in the life vest. No one had the heart to let go of this bear a child wanted to save. Rest in peace, sweet baby.
My baby, my baby, you're my...
And remember, kids, the next time that somebody tells you the government wouldn't do that, oh yes they would.
I keep chasing that same old devil down the same old dead-end highway, riding that storm running through my veins like a shot down tailspun airplane. I'm scared of nothing and I'm scared to death. I can't breathe and I catch my breath. I keep chasing that same old devil down the same old dead-end highway. Ain't no love in Oklahoma, just a whistle of a long black.
All right, y'all, I have another update from my husband. It is currently 1:58 on Friday, October the 11th. Last night, they came in contact with 60 families who had had zero help since day one. 60 families without any help. All flights in the area of Pole Creek Baptist Church have been grounded. And if you look at my last video, you'll get an idea of why. They are trying to make communication difficult in the areas of Chimney Rock and Bat Cave. Please share this. The media is not covering this. Evil things are happening to our neighbors in Appalachia. Get the word out there. This is so serious. Lives are at risk. I'll be back when I hear more.
Wish that I was on a rocket top, down in the Tennessee hills.
Look at that storage container that just folded on that pole. Oh my god.
Ain't no
That is wild.
smoky smoke on rocket top. Ain't no telephone bills.
If you have ever stepped foot in these Appalachian mountains and hiked them, we need you here. We need foot. We need people on foot. If you have ever hiked the Rocky Mountains, get here. We need you. We need people experiencing hiking. There's only a few ways to these people. It is through foot, horseback, or helicopter. Dirt bikes, ATVs, side-by-sides. If you have them and can get to East Tennessee or Western North Carolina, we need you. Do not listen to the news when they tell you that they don't want you, they don't need you. I'm telling you, I am here. I live here. I have been already. I'm telling you, we need you. We want you here. The hell with what FEMA says. The hell with what American Red Cross says. They're not here. I'm telling you, they're not here helping. It's been a week and they're not here. We need manpower. So if you are an experienced hiker, we need you in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. If you are experienced dirt backer, we need you. If you are experienced in ATVs, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, whatever, we need you. We cannot get automobiles up in there. Trucks is not an option. Cars is not an option. If you own private helicopters, we need you. If they threaten to arrest you, we got you as the American people. We need you. These people need saved. These bodies need to be brought down. It is not fair to these families that are looking for their missing loved ones right now, not to have closure. These bodies have got to be brought out of this mountain. You all got to understand, these towns smell like death. I've been down to the river. It smells like death. I've never in my life smelled that kind of death. I've smelled a body that was burnt, but it's a different kind of smell, and it's a smell I'll never forget. I have already seen bodies. I'm telling you, I've seen them from my own eyes. That is something I'm never going to forget, ever. But people's got to understand they're washing up on banks. This water has already reached Santee Cooper, South Carolina. Those people are not prepared for what they might possibly encounter, okay? There's a chance that bodies may wash up on their banks in Santee Cooper, South Carolina. They are trying to get them out of the water before they keep drifting. But there's so much we can do as American people because we don't have our military and it's not their fault. The administration won't release them to us. They won't sign the orders. Guys, we've got to get manpower over here. There is people in those mountains. They are finding them every day that are still alive and they've not had anything to eat or drink in a week. We need foot. People on foot. So please make this video go viral. Y'all done it before. Do it again. Share the crap out of this video, people. We need manpower. Don't listen to the news. Don't, because the news ain't telling the truth.
How high is the water, mama? 2 feet high and rising. How high is the water?
Landslides took out entire, gatherings of homes. The lady here was actually just telling me that they still have 163 kids in the school system that are unaccounted for. And this area looks like it's really well supported, really well off.
We're here in
They have gasoline, they have the National Guard, but we still have a lot of people missing.
And this is what I'm talking about, the disaster relief. We're sending money to the rich and the powerful and overseas where is the well put in place plan to deal with disasters? It shouldn't.
I think the delay in federal response created a vacuum that the community just immediately filled with support and supplies and everything that people need, even rescue and recovery efforts.
What day did you come out here personally? Like how soon after the storm?
Sunday we were in Asheville.
So Sunday, so 2 days afterward?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And so what has been the biggest difference that you've seen
between then and now?
Yeah, between then and now.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea, it's all kind of starting to look like a spider web, right? The farther out, the outer edges of the web are the people we haven't reached yet. Asheville being the hub, it's the biggest city in this region. So that is where the National Guard went first, where FEMA went first. They immediately supplied aid, but unfortunately, that is not where the most residences were destroyed. So while Asheville did receive a huge influx of federal support in the beginning, it wasn't needed as much. So they immediately started reaching out to these other communities and telling them to go to Asheville to get that support. But you can't do that. You would have to walk for days over mountains and ford rivers, and that's just not practical.
Yeah, I think what we were talking about this earlier, and you could discuss this. Discuss with people and tell people how these communities and houses are cut off and how literally the river is in a new place.
So where the road used to run along the river took out the road entirely and is now there where the road was. So it's not just a matter of reestablishing asphalt. It's a matter of having to build a bridge over a new river for miles, if you wanted the road to go back in the same place. The other issue that we're having is the riverbed is now anywhere between 25 and 40 feet deeper than it was. So instead of being like a nice plain farm valley with a creek running through it, it looks like a valley with a huge cavern, 40-foot deep cavern running through it. So where these roads were, there's no more ground underneath that to just lay asphalt on. So in some of these locations that we've been able to get to remotely, like Garin Creek Community Center and the Nisbet Chapel Church down near Bat Cave, we had to go onto private properties. Thankfully, these community members have opened up their properties, opened up their fences, and are supporting people to use their land to get around the river, or where the river is now, not where it used to be. which is very hard to kind of like grasp because things don't look the same.
It's catastrophic. People are forced with either walking up the side of a mountain and then down and out, and so extremely rigorous. Her and her team is considering and in the planning stages of, you know, they're going to have to start backpacking in, you know, maybe actually trailblazing, and you know, or getting helicopters, you know, dropping in.
Yeah, and to give you guys like some idea of the catastrophe, it's very hard to see because as you saw coming in, the difference between Swannanoa, Black Mountain, Old Fort, driving up through Morganton and kind of around that eastern side into Spruce Pine, you didn't see a lot of damage. What you don't see are all the little haulers that got destroyed and all the little communities that got destroyed.
Right along the river.
Right along the river, right along the creeks. Landslides took out entire, like, you know, gatherings of homes. The lady here was actually just telling me that they still have 163 kids in the school system that are unaccounted for. And this area looks like it's really well supported, really well off.
We're here in
They have gasoline, they have the National Guard, but we still have a lot of people missing.
And this is what I'm talking about, you know, the disaster relief. You know, we're sending money to the rich and the powerful and overseas where is the well put in place plan to deal with disasters? It shouldn't be on the American people and to come in and hodgepodge and do what we can, because that's not as efficient. Every day that goes by, people suffer, people are dying. You know, lucky people were saved with helicopters and a few, but as we know, a lot of people fell through the cracks, you know, that maybe possibly could have been saved. And something that we were talking about, I was wondering, is like, you know, what would an appropriate disaster relief? Like, I don't want to hear excuses anymore from people that want to carry water for these politicians. Hurricane Katrina happened 20 years ago. This devastating, you know, flood happened. I mean, hurricanes come inland, flooding happens. I don't want to hear the excuses about this. You know, I saw China build a hospital in 10 days during COVID. I know what the power of the people can do. So
what I've been saying is, if we can spend millions of dollars on training a specific small group of people to be able to infiltrate a remote, isolated, highly secured area, very hard to reach in very difficult circumstances.
Helicopters, ATVs.
But think of this: if the United States government pays to train Navy SEALs to go in to these similar areas, similar situations, similar environments to kill someone, why can't we spend that money to save someone?
That's right. SEAL teams weren't dropping in here.
No.
FEMA's response was inadequate, poorly funded. Thank you, they're here. You know, I think this is maybe a FEMA distribution center, or is this National Guard? This is the National Guard. Thank you, federal government, for, you know, doing
the
what
National
you can.
Guard has been, how do I put this? I did disaster work for almost 10 years. Typically what we would do is we would stage up outside of an area that we knew would be have catastrophic damage. After the storm would pass, we would immediately go into the area, sometimes before the National Guard, sometimes with the National Guard, supply aid, and then immediately identify large damaged buildings like schools and community centers that we could dry out and restore so that the community could then use them as hubs like this. And so, like I said, we would usually go into the storm with the National Guard. Now, I wasn't in Asheville until Sunday. That's the first time I saw the National Guard was there, but that's the only place I saw them. They weren't even in Swannanoa, Black Mountain, Old Fort. That's the way I came in. I only saw them in Asheville on Sunday. I didn't see them in places like Swannanoa, Black Mountain, and Old Fort until this past Saturday.
Over a week later.
And I want to tell you this story. I have someone I know in the Green River Cove. It's been completely destroyed and cut off, and they have had friends hike into them. Their house is destroyed. Everybody's house in the entire cove is destroyed. Neighbors are still missing. They've had friends hike supplies into them, hike in with chainsaws, and they're cutting their way out. The National Guard dropped them off fuel for their equipment. They didn't bring them people. They didn't bring them equipment. They didn't come in and say, you're doing such a great job here. Why don't you guys take a break and recover from your disaster and let us do this for you? They gave them some fuel to keep going. It feels like kind of supportive, but it also feels a little bit
odd. We could have used them a lot more. Today here we were dropping off supplies, and it looks like they just cleared out. There's about 50, 60 National Guard guys. A lot of them sitting around just carrying water pallets. Very helpful with that, but we need to jump in out of helicopters. We need specialized, on the ground and stuff like that. Is there anything else you'd like to share, or anything, from your experience this last week and like moving forward, or anything you'd like to share and let people know?
A couple of things, and they might be a little out of order, but first thing I'm thinking of is, I know there's like a reported body count of 200 and something. I don't know where that number is coming from, but like this lady just told me there's still 163 kids unaccounted for just in this school district.
Just in this
I know communities that were wiped off the map. I don't think they're included in those numbers because they keep extending the rescue efforts. They keep extending. It's usually just 48 hours, and then everyone who's missing is determined. But they're just kind of dragging it out. I understand why. And this is another topic I want to address. How many times did we lose cell service here? Right? There's still places that do not have cell service, and people are lucky if they can even charge their phone, right? So the missing aren't reported yet because there's no way for their loved ones to do that.
So did you say there's a drastic undercount, or it's a big drastic undercount?
I think if there ever is a final count, I don't think they'll display it on the news, but I think it's going to be north of 400 at least. At least
1,000 people missing at least, but 160 kids just from this school. We're in Spruce Pine, this school district. So the situation here is heavy.